This is phase one of us doing something. Everybody feels this issue in America. We all do. This is about the fact that regular, hardworking Americans don't have enough money to live. We need food. We need housing. We need healthcare to enjoy those things. And if you are working 40 hours a week at a successful company, you should easily be able to afford food, housing, and healthcare. Not because we came up with any kind of ideas about that, because that's what you need to live. That's it. So we are pushing back. Anybody that is not with us, anybody that doesn't believe that any other human doesn't deserve to live, go somewhere else, because that's what this is about. And I believe that there are enough of us that see the truth, that it doesn't matter, because the other side now, yeah, there are alternative facts, there are different ideas of what our country should look like. I believe enough of us look around and say, we don't want this. So we can go ahead and fix it. The first step, though, is showing as many people as we can, getting as many people as we can, because it's like we're creating a wave of change. How much change we actually implement depends on how big we can create the wave. How do we build the wave up? Telling other people, free stickers, go sign up. Link is in the bio. Blacken out the system. And we will black out the system as many times as we need until we build the community large enough and strong enough to overcome. BK, that's what we're building up to. This is what we're building up to. Because look, if 1,000 of us do it, yeah, they'll probably get in trouble. If 10,000 of us do it, if 100,000 of us do it, but we have to build up before we get that 100,000, right? It's almost like the general strike card with General Strike. They got 300,000 people signed up, but it should have been like, yeah, at 50,000, let's all start pulling our money and put it into credit unions. These are the kinds of ideas that we need, where it's basically us saying we're not participating in this anymore. But so many of society, it's almost like if there was only banks, or there was no other options for banks. Like if we couldn't pool our money, then what would we do? Well, we would need to build the infrastructure, build the organization to replace it. That's what really needs to happen. Because, yeah, we can take it out of the banks and put it into credit unions. But what about food? If the majority of us are getting food from corporations, we can't just go ahead and not get our food from corporations anymore. The systems are set up. So we have to build the new systems for ourselves. What's up, Polaris? Great to have you here again. So that's one of the best. Thank you, BKCs, because that is such a great example. Because it's like, hey, what can we all do right now? Yeah, we can go pool our money. But in order, because basically, if greed is the disease, our hard work fuels their greed. So we need to stop giving our hard work. But the only way we cannot give our hard work long term is for us to have the systems like grocery co-ops. Ben, absolutely. Because part of what we are building here, number one, we are partnered with Farm Fresh 24/7, which is already pretty much like a grocery co-op. Farmers sign up, makers sign up, people in the area can buy it. One of the biggest things we're asking people that you can do right now is to get on Farm Fresh 24/7. Not only get on Farm Fresh 24/7, if you're in an area like I am, good morning, Yona. If you're in an area like I am where you got lots of farmers, lots of producers, they've even got form letters, form emails that you can send over to them. Hey, please join this app, Farm Fresh. All you got to do is put up there, just like Craigslist for food almost, put up there what kind of offerings that you have, and I will be somebody that is purchased from you every single week. And then it's not only just farmers. If you sew, if you knit, if you paint, if you bake, if you have eggs, if you grow vegetables, all of those can go on this app. That is how we create our interdependence, not on the corporations, but on each other. And that's what we need. If we're battling greed, community is the opposite of greed, y'all. It really is. That's where the movement, this ultimately we call it localism. It's about understanding that business and life works best not when the people in our town or the companies in our town are controlled by far off shareholders. We want the companies and the people that are in our town owning there, because then it like recirculates back in, where we've all heard with the credit card companies, they take 2.5% of every $100 spent, and that money just gets sucked out of your locality back to some giant credit card corporation and then takes it overseas. So that's where all of this is. And the other thing is, like, if Walmart had individual owners or whatever everywhere that were actually held responsible. If you could go up to Dave's general store and say, Dave, what is going on? Why am I being treated so poorly? Well, Dave would have some sense of community. Dave would have some sense of togetherness. But Walmart, they don't, because it's a far off shareholder. That's why we call it localism. This is a return to localism. But what we need first is all of us come together and just say, humans are what matter. It is so insane that the only reason that a majority of Americans are suffering, that 80% of Americans don't have enough money in case of an emergency, is simply because a very small percentage of people are very greedy. That's all that has happened. The ultra wealthy in our society, they always are ultra wealthy in any society. Farm fresh 24/7. The ultra wealthy in any society, their whole goal, pretty much they take over the economy. That's what they do. They take over the economy. But you have the other two levers of power, the political process and the media, which hold the ultra wealthy accountable, where particularly the political process, I think 2008 or 2009 with Occupy Wall Street was that first time that we all saw in reality that even when the majority of Americans stand up and move and say we need something different, politicians only jump when the billionaires tell them to. So for the last 15, 17 years, we've been trying to figure out, well, wait, this is rough. It used to be that if there was an issue, we would go to our politicians who are there to protect us. Now the politicians work for the billionaires. What are we supposed to do? Then somebody comes along and says, hey, these are all the problems here. They give everybody nice little hats. They all have the same shared language. And they create a culture shift, not towards positivity in my mind, but towards fear, anger, and hate. And that's where we've got to understand that we are just moving forward with this. When other people see what we are building, they will drop the fear, anger, and hate, because what we have is better. We have community, we have togetherness. The only reason that they've fallen for the fear, anger, and hate, because the majority of Americans are broke, or we are one step away from being broke. And we're one step away from being broke. We look around and we go, what is going on? Why are we working harder than ever and still falling farther behind? And the ultra wealthy come in with their media, with their narrative, with the music, with the movies, with the television, and they say, those people are why you're falling behind. It's those immigrants over there. It's those people that think differently of you there. It's not left versus right. It's up versus down. They would rather have us point the finger at anybody except for them. So we are done pointing the finger at other regular Americans. Anytime hardworking Americans fight with each other, we are only serving the billionaires up top. So we've got to recognize, and that's what this community is, a group of people who recognize that greed is the problem, who are not engaging on anything other than greed, where it's like essentially like, look, you see me in here too. People will try to derail, distract, and divide away from anything but the ultra wealthy and their greed. And I'm just not having it, because every other problem is because of that, or every other problem is made worse because of that, or every other problem is more difficult to solve because of that. So this community that we're building, it's a group of people that, yeah, we go around and we recruit others, but we're not wasting our time on the people who aren't ready, because we know that this is too valuable. It's like if we have iPhones back in 2008, and you're like, yo, I have the coolest thing around. This is perfect. This is going to win. And the people that see it and go, oh my God, thank you. Those are great. The ones that are like, no, I like my BlackBerry. We're not going to sit there and try to convince them. We know what we have. Sooner or later, you're going to drop that BlackBerry. You're going to drop that flip phone, and you're going to be following us anyways. If you didn't get it, basically, people that don't agree with us, screw it. They're going to see the world that we are building, and it doesn't matter if they're going to agree or not, because eventually they're going to be like, ooh, I want a part of that. That's what this is. This is we are living in this a flip phone, a dumb phone era, and these groups, we see it all over with what the Purple Revolution just came out, and we got People's Sick Day, and of course, blackout the system. And we are just building what we need. So for New Jersey, what we are doing right now is essentially after the second blackout, we are going to try to create weekend workshops. So we are going to be creating weekend workshops. So what you can do right now, go sign up for free stickers on the site. And that's how we're kind of staying connected, is with the free stickers. What we hope to build is a state-by-state group. So we got groups in every single state. And then throughout this winter, we are all going to be having weekend workshops together, talking about how we can grow Farm Fresh 24/7, how we can continue to, basically, we will connect all of the makers with all of the other people. We're going to start building these systems. We're going to connect the people with the small businesses. And we will take these weekend workshops that we're having, and we're going to move them offline into real life. And those real life workshops are going to become our local town halls. They're going to become our local farmers markets, our local swap meets. Shit, they're going to be our chamber of commerce. They're going to be our city council. This is how we build the alternate systems. We don't sit there and go, can we have a seat at the table, please? Are we allowed to make decisions about our life? Because they will always say no. So we need to build the shit that we all need. It's not going to be right away. That's where we've got the second blackout coming November 25th to December 2nd. Right after that, we will be holding our weekend workshops. And those weekend workshops will turn into community groups, is what we're calling them, community groups. So we're building community groups all across the country, because that's what we need to start. Honestly, that is what we need to start. Community groups, because people need to come together, because right now we don't agree on facts. And when we talk on these phones and we don't see each other face to face, all we do is argue about those facts, right? So in the meantime, what you can do, obviously Farm Fresh 24/7 is great, but there are already local community organizations dedicated to building your community. The Rotary Club, Kiwanis, all these types of things. Now, the average age may be way higher, but they are third spaces where people used to go to gather. That's what this is. We need third spaces where we can just be humans together without all of the division, without all of the hate, but where just people can exist. And we understand that we don't have to label everything and put names on it and try to divide each other. No, you're American, I'm American. We both want to buy from people who live within 10 miles of us. Let's create something where we can buy from people around us. And what do we call it? Localism. Because that's what it is. Because we believe that life is better when we can buy from people who care about us. We believe that the economy is better when the stakeholders live in our community. This is what I found out. I am a small business owner. I love my employees. I love my team. Not only are they great people and we're affecting the world with positive change, but they also make me money every day. They go to work and make me money. So the main thing that I try to do is keep them happy. And I always wondered, Why? And make sure that they have more than enough to live, housing, food, healthcare. And I always wondered why corporations didn't have to do the same type of thing. Well, I realized they don't have a free market. That's the issue. Because over 85% of companies on the S&P 500 have the same three top shareholders. So it's like if I owned every company in town, I wouldn't need to treat my employees well, because if they wanted to leave, they would just be working for me at the next business over. That's what's happened in America. BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street. The three of those are the majority shareholders in over 85% of companies on the S&P 500. And what they figured out is that if they overwork us and underpay us, that none of us will have enough for an emergency. And if none of us have enough for an emergency, what happens when that inevitable emergency occurs? Well, when something happens to one of us, all of us pay for it. That's what the bosses figured out. Hey, I don't want to pay this person health care. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower their salary, make sure that they have to go on public assistance. And rather than having a free media that calls me out for that stuff, I own the media, and I'm going to tell the media to blame that lazy worker, blame that worker isn't budgeting well enough. But this is what we are all trying to understand, is structural causation. People are products of their society. People are products of their society. Absolutely. It's insane that, Vanguard, I'm just making this up, but between Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street, I guarantee that they are a majority shareholder in either Target or Walmart or one of those. And then if they do something poorly, if they do something that they want to change the narrative of, they go and they talk to CNN or ABC, because they are majority shareholders of those companies too. And if not, it's their friend, or they all sit on the same board of directors. And that's essentially how that they've done it. Because here's what should have happened, is that when a company starts, number one, the community supports the company up until the company is large enough to support the community. That is what has literally happened in every single case. A company isn't just big enough right off the bat. A company starts small and it grows. And well, when that company was small, it was supported by the community's infrastructure, the community's economy. When that billionaire owner had to go out and hire their first employee, they had to hire from the community, the economy that they were born into. Every single economy. If Bill Gates had been born 10 years earlier, he would have missed the boat, and Bill Gates would not have been a billionaire, right? Because that was very particular time for that software. So why is it that if Bill Gates was born at the specific time to become a billionaire, that we say, oh, it's Bill's fault. Bill did it all. He's the smartest person. Because let's flip the script right now. Because here's what people say is, when I say, why are there so many successful corporations, but not a lot of successful employees? Let's go through some of the responses that I get. Well, number one, because those employees are lazy. Well, then how do you explain the record profits quarter after quarter if those employees are just sitting there being lazy? It's not the employee's fault that the company won't give them a raise. And then they say, well, the employee needs to find more skills, needs to get better skills. Let's talk about where those skills come from, y'all. Because they tell these lies, but they have these little half-truths. Because, yeah, it sounds like, man, if that person doesn't get a good job, they should have more skills. They should go acquire more skills. But where do we get our skills from? Our education, going to school. Well, when a kid is born, they don't decide what school they go to. Do you know how that school is funded? That school is funded dependent on how expensive the house they live in is. So that kid doesn't decide how expensive of a home they live in, but how expensive of a home they live in decides the access to the education that they receive. So then that kid, let's say they aren't getting a very good education. That's not their fault. That's all of our faults. So they have a bad elementary school education. They go into high school. They have a poor high school education. They graduate high school and they don't have any skills. And what do we say? You should have more skills. What? That person is a product of their society. They didn't control who they were born to, what zip code they were born to, the price of their house, the quality of their education. But when they turn 18, 19, we say, that's on you, buddy. You need to go fix it. And then the same flip. So we put too much emphasis on the individual when we are all products of our society. It's all right. One day in the future, BKCs, because I'm not stopping. I'm going to be saying this every single day, because I truly believe that when people hear this truth, they will start waking up. When people hear this truth, they will want to do something about it. And it's just the truth. It's so simple. It's so clear what has happened. They've just lied to us for so long, and the lies have such insidious grains of truth that they're believable. And it's not even that insidious grains of truth. It's basically that for our parents' generation, it used to be that if they worked hard, they got ahead. And when things happen this quickly, it leaves some cognitive dissonance because we're like, wait, all of our parents worked hard and got ahead. We are all working our asses off and falling farther behind. Is the problem us? What is going on? And then we listen to the media and the narratives because for so long, that was where we got our information. The journalists, the Dan Rathers of the world. We say, oh, they'll tell us the truth. Now the journalists that we have are simply part of the entertainment industry, and they are paid shills to keep the billionaires happy. So add in the fact that they make us work 40, 50 hours a week just to have enough to live. Let's talk about the difference between physical slavery and economic slavery. Because in physical slavery, people don't have to pay for their house. People don't have to pay for their food. People don't have to pay for their health care. But in economic slavery, they pay you barely enough to afford your food, barely enough to afford your housing, barely enough to afford your health care. But you're told you are free because you can choose who barely pays you enough. But the biggest issue that they've done is hide that it's only 1, 2, or 3 entities that are purposefully underpaying you. And they're only underpaying you because they completely control the free market. They are only underpaying you because they are then going to their media company and saying, well, the reason we can't pay you is because of those immigrants. The reason we can't pay you is because of those Democrats, because of those Republicans. And they stoke the fires among regular, everyday Americans. So one of the main goals of this is recognizing that anytime you are fighting with a regular American, anytime you are fighting with somebody who has less than $50 million in the bank, that it's not worth fighting with them, that you are playing into the hands of the billionaires, because all they want us to do is point fingers left or right and say, nope, housing is the problem. Nope, immigrants are the problem. Nope, climate change is the problem. Nope, liberals are the problem, without recognizing that greed is the disease. It's the overarching structure that are allowing all of the other problems to persist and perpetuate, because they make money not off the problems themselves, but they make money when we're too distracted to realize they've been screwing us over for decades. And y'all, we will win, because what happens is if you believe these 3 truths, or if you see these 3 truths, there's nothing to believe, it's truth. When you see these 3 truths, you go, oh man, and then immediately you go, oh no, what are we going to do about it? Because it feels insurmountable. And that's where our first steps are small steps together. If we try to do too much too soon, we'll all get burnt out. The system is literally designed to keep us burnt out. They're trying to do that right now with the overloading of information. So what we do is it's not some of us giving it our all, it's all of us giving it some. And really, we need to show people any way we can that we are all a product of our society. That Elon Musk didn't invent the car. Elon Musk didn't invent the electric car. All Elon Musk did was add on one little thing after centuries of societal and technological innovation. But what we do is we over reward the people at the top. We over put the emphasis on the individual, just like we do with the people at the bottom. You know that Musk is, their latest pay package is $1 trillion over the next 10 years. $1 trillion. Well, $1 billion is $1,000 million. So $1 trillion, what is a million millions? My God. My God. Do you know how many people that could help? Do you know how many people that have had their bloodline contribute to the technology that Musk is exploiting to make all that money? That's where it really should be, is all the people that contributed to the creation of the car, to the creation of tires, to the creation of safety features. It shouldn't just go to Musk because he didn't do anything. I made the same idea with Bill Gates earlier. Does Bill Gates really deserve those billions of dollars when, if he had been born in a different part of America, if he had been born in Florida instead of where he was born, he would not be in the position that he is right now. So he is literally a product of where his parents live. But then we say, no, you did it all. You're the billionaire. Without you, we wouldn't have any innovation. No, without Bill's parents just luckily living in the tech center of the country right there. If they had lived over in Florida, if they had lived in Texas, if they had lived in Maine, if they had lived in Colorado, if they had lived in New Mexico, Bill Gates we wouldn't even know his name, right? So why do we heap the rewards on somebody who is only so rich because they were born in the right place in the right time? It doesn't. What I'm just trying to say is that we are all products of our society, whether we're super rich or whether we're poor. These billionaires only are billionaires because they were alive in a certain time and space right before the internet hit, right before, and basically they all had some kind of in, and then they took a normal business, linked it with the internet, which we all paid for the internet. That was DARPA. That was our tax dollars. They linked it with the internet, and then things exploded. Their productivity went to the moon. And rather than paying us our fair share, they kept more than their fair share, because that's really all that's happened. I'm going to finish this, and then we're going to get into the solution aspect. But that's really all that's happened. We got more productive, mainly because of the internet. Productivity means we made more money, except the money that we made went to the people up top. That's the issue. If you look at our graph of our productivity, it's like straight up over the last 50 years. You look at the graph of the CEO pay, that follows our productivity, right? You would think that the worker pay would also follow the graph of our productivity, but it's not. Our productivity has risen a little bit, and it's straight about 15-20% over the last 50 years. So that's what's happened. We made more money because of technology. The people up top took more than their fair share. Why is that a problem? Because when you take more than your fair share, people can't afford food. Y'all, we need food to live. People can't afford housing. Y'all, we need places to live. And here's the thing. We have to think about this. We don't just, if somebody has a health issue, we don't just let them die in the streets. A lot of times, if somebody can't find a house, we do everything they can beyond, the persons that are unhoused usually have severe mental issues that don't want the housing, but we get them housing. So we all have to take a minute and just think about this, If somebody is working full time and they don't have enough money for food and housing, what's really happening? Well, the owner is saying, I want more, and I'm going to make you all pay for that person's health care. I'm going to make you all pay for that person's housing. Normally, we wouldn't stand for that. The worker, number one, would just go work somewhere else. That's why they got rid of the free market. That's why there's no more local mom and pop shops. Number two, if we saw that as consumers, we'd say, we are not shopping at Walmart. Not only do they get their goods unethically, not only are their products crap, but they treat their employees like shit. And then, so in turn, I get treated like crap by those same employees because it flows downhill. So we would go shop somewhere else, but we can't. And then on top of that, they get their media, they get the narrative to do all these commercials, to do all these movies, to do all this music, to put all this fake PR out there that makes us confused, basically. They're doing all this bad stuff, but then they pepper us with propaganda that says, no, we're not. We're actually good. It's not our fault. It's their 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 fault. Because they want us pointing the finger anywhere except for them. That is the issue. And what we are waking up and realizing, and what we will not back down from, because I can reason why it's best for all of us and best for you, is Donna Jean, good to have you here. Sorry, before I get to my next one, I wanted to say good morning. Is that every human should have food. Every human. What's up, Grandma Barb's? Great video the other day. Amazing shirt that you made. Way to go. Every single human should have food. Every single human should have housing. And every single human should have health care. That's the way we should structure our society. So I think if we all can just say, that's non-negotiable, we'll let you, hey, y'all, if you want to follow us behind and not ask any questions and say, hey, I'm going to see what these kids are doing over there because what's going on in this country right now, that's what's going to happen. So I'm still going to talk every now and then because I like talking to the other side because it lets me flesh out some of my ideas and my analogies. But for the rest of us, it's just like we're moving on. We're going forward. We're finding other like-minded people. We're putting up stickers. We're having blackout the systems because we realize we have to build a community large enough to take down the rigged system. We can't do something next month because not enough of us are on the same page. We can't do something in 3 months because not enough of us are on the same page. What we are going to do, I will be here every single day doing these lives. These lives will turn into weekend workshops where we can actually start creating community with those around us. The first thing we'll do with weekend workshops is get state community groups flowing. Every single state will have their community group, and we will pick pretty early on what area in their state they're going to move. My idea was a big park in the area. And then we move these weekend workshops where we're learning the skills, where we're learning to build community, where we're using Farm Fresh 24/7 to lock down our food security, where we're trading, where we're bartering, where we're building that community. Then we move it offline into real life because it's seeing other people in real life. Everybody loves a swap meet. That's what this will be. Everybody loves a community yard sale. That's what this will be. It'll be a farmer's market. It'll be our chamber of commerce. It'll be our town halls where we can talk about our pain. We can talk about our happiness. And it's coming together and seeing, oh, they're not so different. They literally want the same thing as me. Food, not want, need. Food, house, and some health care. Because if you have food and a house, you can grow a family. And if you've got food, house, and a family, you want to enjoy it. So you want a little bit of health care. That's all any person wants. People don't want to be greedy. People don't need more than that. Because if we all understood that what matters are other people, the point of a society isn't money. The point of a society is to give the majority of people security. Because let's take it a step further. What do people have when they have security? They don't have to worry about themselves, right? If you've got food, you're not worried where your next meal is coming from. If you've got house, you're not worried about where your housing is going to be at next month. And if you've got a little bit of security, a little bit of money in the bank, you're not worried about any healthcare issue or your car going kaput. We should be building a society where people can live up to their fullest potential, because not only will that make them excel at what they do, but if they don't have to always focus on themselves, if they aren't afraid of losing their security, do you know what they will be focused on? Other people. I know this because I lived it. I was able to have security. I got the tail end of the great CEO or the great corporate years where people actually got pensions. They got paid what they made. None of this should be income based. Housing shouldn't be income based. Healthcare shouldn't be income based. Food shouldn't be income based. I heard the greatest thing today where somebody says, "Oh, run the country like a business. Run the country like a business." No, run the country like a household, where we take care of each other, we sacrifice for each other, we stand up, we do what is needed for each other. The people innovating, they aren't, so that's where they tell us they're the innovators. They tell us we ride on their backs, but no, they ride on ours. These innovators would have nothing to innovate if we didn't make their products. Like the iPhone would be great, where it's, hey, well, we got this iPhone. Well, he literally relied on all those workers to make the iPhone. You rely on the people shipping it across. You rely on the people at the stores, and every single one of them should have enough money for food. They should have enough money for housing. They should have enough money for healthcare, because all humans need those things to live. And if one human, the owner, is relying on a bunch of other humans, it's literally like this. Like, think of somebody who's physically relying on them. Say the owner like can't move, or say somebody can't move, and then they are relying on 20 other people to do everything for them. Bring them food, get them this or that, get them health care, make sure they're housed, make sure they're okay. And then what if that person who couldn't do anything just treated everybody like terrible, where they made them make them food, they made them make them housing, they made them give them health care, but then they forced their team to sleep in the streets, to sleep without house, to sleep without food. We would say, whoa, there's something wrong with that person. All those other people are helping you out, but then at the end of the day, after they're done helping you out, you make them go sleep in cardboard shacks while you get to live in this mansion. But you're not even doing anything. They're the ones doing all the work all day. You're just ordering them around, right? That's literally what this is. Another way, billionaires taking money from their workers, because that's what they're doing. When they're paying somebody $12, $15, $20 an hour, they're taking money from their workers, because if their employees can't afford food, if their employees can't afford housing, well, then that employer can't afford to offer them a job. That's what we really need to twist this and say, look, if somebody is being paid less than $20 an hour, that job is a net detriment to society. Because then that person working 40 hours a week, McDonald's is my favorite example here. Somebody working 40 hours a week at McDonald's, a company that makes billions and billions of dollars, then has to go on public assistance to afford their housing. They then have to go on public assistance to afford their health care. And we all pay for that. That is like you walking out of your job today. I live near Baltimore City. That would be like walking out of an office building in Baltimore City and just robbing the homeless person that's sitting there on the street. In fact, your net worth is probably closer to the homeless person than a billionaire would be to yours. So they are reaching several levels down and just taking money. And that's why we call them the hoarders, because they have more than what they need and they take from people who don't. We all see it. That's people holding on to their dollars, grabbing onto it, and then right here, we build the companies. They take the money. We are opening, but then they take the money, but then they tell their media company to lie to us and say, nope, all those people are just lazy. Nope, all those people are just don't know how to budget. Well, if all of those, I know, isn't that funny, Eric Chuck? For somebody, yeah, it's insane to see. But that's where every time they do something like that, they're pointing one more person to our side, right? Every time they do something like that, one more person takes the blinders off. We have, so let's go. There was the problem. So we went through the problem. We went through who caused the problem. And we went through why it stays that way. What is the solution? Well, we've seen partially how to create a community. MAGA became so powerful because they have shared language. MAGA became so powerful because they have shared acts, and those shared language and shared acts equal shared power. That's what happened, y'all. They started saying the same words. Make America great again. Make America great again. They all started wearing the same hats. Look, we're all part of I know, Donna. Well, that's where I like to try to shame people and be like, you're right. Dishwashers, they don't deserve a house. They don't deserve food. And that's where we really got to like bring it down on. I guess I got to get better at that too, because the main thing is if anybody is working for a successful company, well, that owner hired them because they're bringing in more money to the company than what they are being paid. My favorite example, Walmart greeters. Walmart has a multi-million-dollar tax or accounting firm, accounting department. If you don't think that they know the exact dollar amount that every single one of those greeters add value to Walmart, then you are sorely mistaken, because they know down to the dollar how much value that greeter brings in and how much they pay those greeters. And if those greeters don't make enough money for food, housing, and healthcare, then those jobs that they offer don't mean crap. So the way that we fix this, y'all, we have shared language. They're not the billionaires, they're the hoarders. These are all available to download. So go download these. Go to the link on the website. I think it's the Take Action Now. It's not left versus right, it's up versus down. Let's get to some of the happier ones. Community is the opposite of greed. So these are the way that we start our own culture shift. Except we're going to take the same pain, the same fear, and we're going to get people to see that those that caused you pain are the ones up top. And if you and I can just come together, we can defeat them. That's what this is about. So it starts with every single one of us signing up for free stickers, putting truth out in public. It's about you going to the website, downloading these posters, spreading them online. It's about downloading Farm Fresh 24/7 and building the systems that we need, connecting with your community. It's about understanding that these weekday lives will lead into weekend workshops after the blackout. And those weekend workshops will turn into community groups. We'll have weekend community groups together where we can become friends, where we can swap goods, where we can swap services, have our town halls, have our city councils, and eventually we will take those out into real life. We will have community groups where we are meeting, talking to others, and building the systems that work for us. It's the only way this happens, because this is a resurgence of localism. This is the resurgence of localism, because when stakeholders and shareholders live in your community, it's better for everyone. That's all this is. When a company is based where you live, they are more likely to treat you better. They are more likely to treat their employees better. In turn, you get a better service. They are more likely to care about the products that they are offering, because they have to see their customers every single day. You think that the billionaires care about that? They insulate them with layers and layers so they don't have to see the suffering that they cause. So that's the first step, is inciting a culture shift to build a community. So what do you think this is about then? Inciting it, building a community to incite a culture shift. So make sure we're telling everybody, because before then you're sounding a little crazy, right? You're like, oh, well, I saw this guy and we're talking about this and that and we're doing all that. No, just be like, oh, we got blackout the system coming up. They'll explain to you why they need it. But yeah, we all know we need a boycott. We all know we need to push back. But that's where, send them on over, black out the system. And what this is not a single movement. We are aligned and allied with thousands of movements because this is a civic force. Air, I'm like a week or 8 days behind. I got more stickers coming tomorrow, but I was a little caught up because I had like a 4 or 5 day where I ran out and the kids have been sick and it's been crazy. So I think if you ordered before like October 1st or 2nd, they're probably on the way. But if you ordered in the last 8 or 9 days, I should have them out to you. They should be in the mail by Monday, depending when they get here tomorrow. So, but it is shared language. They're not the billionaires. They're the hoarders. It's not left versus right. It's up versus down. And greed is the disease. What I think we need to do, we've all heard about the Purple Revolution. Let's connect with them. If anybody knows somebody there wants to reach out to them, because what we're trying to do is coordinate the impact nationally. We've already aligned with so many of these groups that because we're trying to coordinate the impact nationally or coordinate the pushback nationally, essentially with these free stickers. Our idea is to get every single group their own free stickers so that everybody's got either a blackout sticker so that we can send the Purple Revolution sticker to other people. And then on top of that, they get the dragon sticker so that we can all coordinate our national pushback. So this is my call. If anybody is part of a movement, if anybody is leading a movement, if anybody has the ear of a movement leader, whether it's 5051, Indivisible, Purple Revolution, all those kinds of things, it has to be all of us coming together. Yes, absolutely, Air. That's all that really matters is the people that want to come together will. And that's essentially what it is. And we all need to come together. And Dawn, I don't know what you're saying, but if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. It's just like, I'm not going to not meet somebody, right? That's kind of what it comes down to is we will have any conversation and we'll decide in there whether it's in good faith or not. But if everybody just wants to come together, we might as well link up with all the other people who just want us coming together, because we believe that we've got the language, that we have the shared acts, that we can create the shared power. We can do it by using the free stickers. We can do it by, yeah, absolutely. Well, that's where it's just all one, where I think that everybody is waiting. They're all like looking around like what's going to happen. The way I describe it is it's like we're all in a crowd and we're looking around like, all right, who's going to speak out first? Who's going to do something? And some of us are like, like trying to speak out, but it's not loud enough. It's too big of a crowd. And what we need is to somehow get on the same page with all the other people in this crowd that are trying to speak out. And if we can all say the same thing at the same time, then that's the signal. They're not the billionaires. They're the hoarders. Greed is the disease. Everything else is just a symptom because of that. That is the issue. And if we can understand that it's not left versus right, that every single time we fight with a fellow American, we're playing into the hands of a billionaire. So we have to understand that so many people, when they are pushing against of us, when they are not allowing it, that just so you, doesn't even matter. When they are pushing against of us, when they are not allowing it, we have to understand that they've just been fed lies. That it's like when we see somebody eating a health bar and it says health bar, but it's full of chocolate, it's full of peanut butter, and it's full of fat. You don't run over and go, you idiot, why do you think that health bar is healthy for you? Da, 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 da. No, you're like, hey, I don't know if that's the healthiest thing. It's got this in it and this in it. And you probably won't convince them the first time, right? You probably won't convince them the first time, but you're planting that seed. And that's what you're doing. And that's what we all need to do is understand that we've got to come at people with empathy. We've got to come at people with understanding. And we have to understand that we're not going to reverse their lies with just one conversation. But if we can basically like show them that we're like the cooler side, that like, hey, it's not left, it's not right, but we're kind of like doing our own thing and just moving forward because we believe that it's about you and me and not about it. Will, there you go, Air Jock. And that's where if all that we get out of this is that it takes time, I think that that is what it is. And Val Pal, that's exactly what this is. The way we're trying to educate people is with these free stickers. Go sign up, the link in the bio. You can slap them up anywhere, but putting that truth in public, because really that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to reclaim the truth. We're trying to take back the truth. So you go to the link in the bio. The link in the bio will take you to our website, blackoutthesystem.com. Right on the website, you'll see a big link that says, click here for free stickers or join the team free stickers. And you can click on those because basically they've lied so much, they've taken the truth from us, right? We can't even agree on what facts are anymore. So what these stickers do is they put the truth in public. What these stickers do is they get us on the same page and we start saying, look, if a company is successful, its employees should be too. That's non-negotiable. If somebody's working 40 hours a week for a successful company, they should get food. They have earned food and housing. That's non-negotiable. Because when somebody doesn't have that, not only is it morally wrong that they're making you money and you're not paying them enough to live, what's actually the issue is that, or an issue on top of that, is that you're not paying them enough money. So now the rest of us have to pick up the slack. And that sucks because you already have more than enough. And that's why we call you the hoarder, because you have more than what you need and you continue taking from people that don't. And I know it sounds a little harsh, but it's just the way we can get on the same page because they are the hoarders. That's what they are doing. They are purposefully underpaying their employees so that they don't have security because they know that if all of us had 10 grand, 20 grand, 30 grand in the bank account, that we wouldn't put up with their shit. We call it FU money, right? We literally have a saying for it in our society. Well, it might be a smaller FU if you've only got 30 grand, but if you've got enough to say FU to your employer, you still have enough FU money to make yourself feel good. I know, it's just when I say hoarders, some people, I like feel a little bit bad in the back of my head. And then it's just, I guess what I go back and forth against is wanting everyone to keep their ears open to what I'm saying versus using language that fires up the people that already agree with it. And I think that we're on the right enough path that I'm just going to kind of screw the people that don't believe this. And because that's where I say it like that, because if you have more than enough and you're taking from people that don't have more than enough, then what are you? You're a greedy prick, you're an asshole, and you're a hoarder. And so that's this. I strongly believe that is going to be the language that helps fix this. They're not the billionaires. They're the hoarders. Greed is the disease. Because then that leads us, what's the cure to their greed, or what fuels their greed? It's our hard work. It's us going to work every day and making them more money. Except we rely on them to make us money, or we rely on their systems to survive. We rely on their food. We rely on their housing. We rely on their healthcare. So it really is opening up people to the structural causation. We're all a product of our society. We want more economic mobility because right now, pretty much the economic class you were born into is the economic class that you will be in at the end of your days. The zip code and the price of the house that you were born into has way more to do with how successful you will be than your hard work, than your effort. That's the problem in America today. Your success is determined more by your zip code than your hard work. The new billboards that came out, we make they take. That's good, but I like the Hoarders just a little bit more. I think it gets people's attention. So go download the posters, y'all. I want to see these everywhere. See if I can. So let's download the posters. Go to the website. We got one. It's not left first right. It's up first down. They're not the billionaires. They're the hoarders. Their success is our overtime. This one's one of my favorite. Greed is the disease. Everything else is just a symptom. And this one is just so beautiful. So this is what this is all for, is for us to download these, because it can't just be us saying this. We've all got to say it, right? And then if you don't want to say it, then throw up a sticker and point people towards us, because we're just having conversations. We're just having community. So it goes from, we're recognizing the problem. We're all getting on the same page. We build the community group that we need to come together. And then we grow that community group in real life. I have to get going, everybody. Appreciate you all being here. Oh, yeah. So it's a little bit more difficult. Go to the website and the link in the bio. And the underneath the link where it says join the team, get free stickers, you can find, it says click here to take action now. And that will actually take you right over to the Take Action Now page where it says spread the word. You can sign up for the free stickers. You can download. If you scroll down, you see all the posters. There's the 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we got 9 posters to download. So it's blackoutthesystem.com. That's where, Monique, we're a little bit behind. So depending on when you ordered, we're a little bit behind. But if that is the same name that you signed up with, I will look you up now and make sure you get some. But we are getting more in tomorrow. So that's where they are. But really appreciate everybody being here. We can only do this together, literally. It's the only way. And it's by all of us speaking out, all of us coming together. And remember, it's going to be bit by bit. It's going to be step by step. Because our first steps have to be small steps together. Appreciate it, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Bye.